So self-assessment is basically HMRC's way of getting you to tell them other sources of income that they haven't seen so that it can be taxed on it. But we do self-assessment to include other expenses we've made, things that we can actually get. So as long as someone has contributed to a pension, any pension, whether it was the NHS pension in your workplace, there has been a pension contribution. I don't have the time. I can't spare 30 minutes to get on the phone with HMR. I'm really sorry, but I don't want to give 30 minutes of my time. So I prefer to do self-assessment. Why? Because self-assessment is a document. They have a copy. I have a copy. My account has a copy. Basically, there are specific things you can claim. There are things that you can't claim. Above £2,500 per tax year, they'll say no. Go and do self-assessment. I think Chidima, you have a question? Do you want to go? Yeah, Chidima, please go.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
No worries. I can hear you clearly.
I'm just taking up from the last person that asked the question. So,
Yes.
if in the previous tax year, one didn't make a personal contribution, maybe you just only made your NHS regular contribution that's taken from source, can you still claim, carry forward the balance into tax year?
I'm happy to inform you that you can, and don't be like me.
Okay.
So last time I held a salary job was 2022. I think there was a year that I didn't think about it. I was just busy, so I didn't put a dime into a pension. And because I wasn't employed anywhere by anyone, nobody put in a dime into my pension. So for that whole tax year, I didn't make a contribution. And when I cleared out some money the next tax year, I wanted to put it back. They said, no, you didn't contribute to any pension in that tax year. So nothing. You can't get that allowance. That was annoying, but I had other ways to be tax efficient. But in your case, you're working with the NHS, so someone has definitely put money into the pension. So you've contributed, even if you contribute £1. So if you're not sure of SIP, we'll put in £100. So as long as someone has contributed to a pension, any pension, whether it was the NHS pension in your workplace, which is a defined benefit pension, different from defined contribution. If it's your NHS pension, there has been a pension contribution. You should be able to claim the remaining allowance that hasn't been used, even if that means claiming it through putting money in the SIP or through your personal pension or stakeholder pension or nest pension. As long as it's a pension, it all goes towards the 60k allowance. Does that make sense?
Okay, it makes sense. One last question, please.
Of course.
So about the extra 25% higher taxpayer return.
20%, yeah.
Yes.
20, yeah.
So must it be through a self-assessment? The only time there was a time I called HMRC and they told me to write a letter and attach evidence of my contribution.
Your pension contribution,
yes, and then they'll pay me my So must it always be through?
No, it must always be through self-assessment. Did they pay? They paid you,
I'm just wondering if the rules have changed. They did pay me, but I'm just wondering if the rules have changed.
The rules hasn't changed. So here's the thing. I know you're a doctor and you're a busy doctor. I can't remember your specialty, Pamela. I know you're Pamela too, right? What's your specialty?
Pediatrics.
Yeah, pediatrician. So busy. I don't have the time. I can't spare 30 minutes to get on the phone with HMR. I'm really sorry, but I don't want to give 30 minutes of my time. So I prefer to do self-assessment. Why? Because self-assessment is a document. They have a copy. I have a copy. My account has a copy, basically. So I can then claim whatever else inside the self-assessment.
This is how to get financially smarter in just 5 minutes. Sometimes the difference between making smarter financial decisions and costly, horrible financial mistakes is having the right information at the right time for the right person. So every week I write the MoneyWise Doctor weekly newsletter. It's an email newsletter packed full with valuable financial insights and updates to help you make smarter financial decisions and avoid costly mistakes. Some of the areas I've been covering over the last 70 weeks include actionable tips on tax strategies, pensions, investing, side hustles, and several other financial areas. Now, join thousands of medics who subscribe to the MoneyWise Doctor Weekly newsletter to receive it straight to your inbox, and it's totally free. Don't miss out. Subscribe now using the link in the description. And now let's jump right back to the episode.
You can call them to tell them, I've paid this money, can you pay me back or give me my tax relief? You can write them a letter, you can do all that, but I kind of like prefer self-assessment for all that stuff, because then is an official document. It's harder to lose, it's harder to tell stories around it. But yes, if you prefer to call them, that's still all right. Yeah. So what did you do with the money, the one they gave you? Because did you put it back into your pension?
They paid it directly into my pension.
Oh, is that what they did? Okay, good. Okay, that's fine then. Excellent. That's lovely. Right. Okay. So that's what happened. The extra 20% they can pay directly into your pension. Okay. Lovely.
They paid it directly into my pension. I didn't get it.
You didn't get it. Okay. Well, your future self has gotten it. Okay. I'm going to take the next question, please. Ediri.
Yeah, so the higher taxpayer, to my understanding, somebody is earning 50K plus of their adjusted net income. Would that be correct? And if the person does not have a limited company, just does regular NHS work, would you advise the person to also do a self-assessment as well?
Okay, that's a very important question. Thank you for raising it. Again, your questions actually guide where these things go. I mean all of you. It takes us back to what are the tax bands. And if you're from Scotland, yours is slightly different. But basically, tax band 0 to 12,570 is 0%. 12,571 to 50,270 is 20%. Okay, that's the band they're talking about today. Then from 50,271 to I think they raised it to 150k. It used to be 125k. That is the from 50,271 to 150k thereabout is now higher rate tax. That's 40%. Okay, anything above that, anything above like 50,271 is 40%. Of course, we know about the 60% tax trap that they never advertise on their website, because it's basically across 100k you start paying more. So what your question is, if I understand it correctly, is that if you're just working a normal salary job, being paid 50k, nothing above 50k, not 50,300, 50,000.
No, maybe above that. So you are still within that 40% tax band.
Give me a figure. Are we talking?
Let's say somebody is receiving maybe 75k.
Yeah, so if you're 75k, you're quite deep into the 40% tax band, isn't it? Sorry, the higher rate tax band. So do you need to do self-assessment? Not all the time. There's a criteria for doing self-assessment. I'll share it in the group, or there are criteria for doing self-assessment. I'll share it in the group, or you can just browse self-assessment MoneyWise Doctor. The article will come up. If you did hear from my team, he could share that for us. A self-assessment MoneyWise Doctor, or I'll pop it in the group. But I'm just going to run through the criteria very quickly. 1, you've got like income above 150k. You've got to do self-assessment. Okay. If you're involved in any partnership, let's say a GP partner, or you've got like a business partnership, self-assessment. You gain, you have income through capital gains, you sell a property, or you sell, let's say your shares, sell a Bitcoin or whatever, self-assessment. You have a business, you run a limited company, a director of a company, you've got to do self-assessment. If you've contributed money to your pension, basically, obviously it makes sense to also do self-assessment. So self-assessment is basically HMRC's way of getting you to tell them other sources of income that they haven't seen, it hasn't passed through payroll, so that it can be taxed on it. That's what HMRC does self-assessment for. But we do self-assessment to include other expenses we've made, things that we can actually get back from the money we've paid. So yeah, you don't necessarily have to do self-assessment all the time for everyone. But if you're making like sort of like investment, you're getting capital gains. I'll give you an example. I've got like, if you've got like rental property, you need to do self-assessment because you need to, HMRC doesn't know which money you're getting. You have to tell them, I got this money and pay tax on it. So share the link. You can have a read. I've listed who needs to do self-assessment and you can go through it. Okay, right. So I'm going to take one more question and then we'll go into the rest of the structures. Okay.
So are you saying, based on the question that the last person asked, so if you are if you are below 150 or 100,000, so you don't need to do self-assessment. But what about tax return? So is it tax return you do?
So tax return and self-assessment, just consider them as the same thing. That will remove the confusion. So there are two things. I think you might be talking about tax relief on professional expenses.
Yes.
I'll explain to you. So if you've spent money to register for GMC, you spend money to pay for your GDC, your dental council, another you're in dentistry, right?
Yeah.
You've done GDC. If you're a nurse, you've done NMC. You've done Royal Colleges. You've done BMA and all that stuff. You can claim it back. Those are professional expenses. Mileage, basically business mileage. You've gone to work, but they've seconded you to work elsewhere. You can claim those back. Okay. But there are different ways to claim it. You can claim it in what we call tax relief. You fill out a form. There's an online version. We don't have the time to get into it now because I've made a step-by-step video which I'll also share with you that you can just watch. Thousands of doctors have used it. Doctors and healthcare professionals, NHS staff.
Okay.
Just click it, you watch it, you do exactly that thing. You fill out the form and HMRC will pay you, or they might not send you a check. When I first started doing this, they used to send a check for me many years ago. Now they'll just reflect it in your tax account. Okay, right. So basically that's tax relief on professional expenses. It's very structured, it's very restricted. There are specific things you can claim. There are things that you can't claim. Above £2,500 per tax year, they'll say no, go and do self-assessment. So if what you're claiming is 2.5 in 2022, 2023, and then the next year is 2.5, the next year is 2.5, you claim up to 10k. I've had doctors who claim like 9.5, 9.6 and all that because they hadn't claimed for years. But I also know this she's a consultant now. I hope I know she won't mind me saying she's brilliant, born in the UK, lived in the UK, been in the NHS for 15 years, never claimed tax relief, never knew about it. Husband is a brilliant accountant working with top companies, and she said to me, God, my husband should have told me. I'm like, he's probably didn't even know about it because he's dealing with something else that's much bigger. So in that case, she was able to claim back 5 years ago, so the current year, and then 4 years back. So that could get to as much as 12.5. Basically, your professional expenses, what you've spent on, you can only claim what you spent on. But in some years, you spend more than 2.5. You've paid for GMC, you've paid for BMA, you've also CCT'd in the same year, you've also bought a new equipment, or you've replaced your stethoscope or some dental equipment to use, maybe a drill, I don't know, dental equipment. But basically, you can claim the money you spent on replacing equipment.
Okay.
So when you count it, if it's above 2.5, HMRC says no. What most people do is that they just bring it down to 2.5. I'm like, why? So because they don't want to go through the trouble of doing self-assessment. I'm like, what if you've got like 3k to, so you're giving them back 500? Is that like you're tipping them? Very generous. I'd rather get it through self-assessment.
All right. So sorry, I would like to have the video like you said, so that I'll follow it step by step. So I can claim up to I can claim it in retrospect, right? For the years I've not claimed.
You can
do is on the link, it's on the chat group.
All right.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Yeah. My second question is,
Yes.
yeah, thank you very much. So that clarifies the issue.